What's up guys, welcome back to another video. We'll be looking at the fundamentals of JavaScript in this video, and in the coming videos we'll look at the remaining concepts that will help you become a full JavaScript developer. Okay, first of all, what is JavaScript? Aside knowing our HTML, which stands for hypertext markup language, that is like the skeleton for our website, and CSS, which is cascading style sheet, which adds beauty to our website, what is JavaScript? JavaScript is a scripting language that allows you to build dynamic web pages by ensuring maximum user interactivity. A lot of keywords there, like scripting language, dynamic web pages, and user interactivity. So, what is a scripting language, or what is scripting? Scripting basically refers to a series of commands that are interpreted and executed sequentially and immediately on occurrence of an event. Okay, so it's like an action generated by a user while interacting with a web page. So basically, scripting refers to waiting for the user to perform an action, then your web page or website responds to it. Okay, examples of such events are button clicks, selecting a product from a menu, hovering over a particular item, and so on. Now, what are dynamic web pages? A static web page is one that only shows content, majorly like an informational website. Okay, you just basically want to show a constant news that you know will never change. But with JavaScript, you can build dynamic web pages that will change or respond based on what? Based on the user's actions, just like scripting. Okay, so the web page, the whole website will basically change based on what the user does. For example, take a look at an e-commerce website. When you build the website, there is nothing in the add to cart page, right? But for every single website user, the website's content will be different from another, because user A's website, the cart might have 10 items, but in user B's website, the cart might have 5 items. Okay, so that's what we call a dynamic web page. It changes based on the user's interaction, which takes us to the last one: user interactivity. So user interactivity just means engaging the users, making sure users are always what making sure the users are always active on your website. Okay, yeah. So that is JavaScript, a scripting language that allows you to build dynamic web pages by ensuring maximum user interactivity. So what does JavaScript contribute to our website? JavaScript adds functionalities to our code. For example, when a user clicks a button on a website, we can use JS or JavaScript to call an action to be performed before the user clicks the button, or when the user is clicking the button, or after the user clicks the button. Okay, so you can basically specify any of these actions during, before, or after. So back to scripting languages, we have two types of scripting. We have client-side scripting and server-side scripting. Client-side refers to a script executed on the client's machine by the browser, like Google, Microsoft Edge, Firefox. Okay, so it's basically what the user does. Remember, it's when the user carries out an action and your website responds to it. While server-side scripting refers to a script executed on a web browser to generate what HTML pages. So this is more in relation to the dynamic web pages. Unlike client-side, HTML pages using server-side scripting are compiled into bytecode files, which are machine code files on the server. So they're not just normal button clicks, they are actual content that are being generated by the server. Okay. Compiled or compilation, which is the process, is a process of converting the code into machine independent code. So that's how your browser, your machine understands what code you're writing. This machine independent code is known as bytecode, which is an executable file. Okay, bytecode. So yeah, the web server basically runs the executable file to generate the desired output. In terms of scripting, JavaScript is a language that can be executed on the client side and the server side. So I think we've talked a lot about JavaScript. Now let's get started with our coding. So I assume we have VS Code. So we can create a new folder. We can call it JS. or anything of your choice. Then open with VS Code. Good. So we can see something like this. So to create a JavaScript file, you end it with the extension .js. So an extension for a file basically means, or basically defines, the type of a file. Okay. So I can create a simple file here. I can call it index. So in programming, index usually means first, but you can call it anything of your choice. So index.js. So as you know, or if you don't know, HTML, CSS, and JavaScript are the basic three technologies, but JavaScript is a programming language. So you can just see basic three technologies that you need for web development, right? So HTML is the skeleton. Basically, if you want to show anything on the page, you basically need a markup language like HTML. So I'll create my HTML file here. So I'll say base.html. It can be any name. Well, we don't need the CSS file now, so we're not working with CSS, but we need our HTML. So my HTML, I'll say shift1. Good. Now I have my HTML. So I know I don't have anything in my JavaScript yet. So to convert or to link my JavaScript file to this HTML, I can use two ways. I can either use internal JavaScript, which involves using the script tag in the head. I can write my JavaScript here, or I will use the script tag with the src attribute and link it. So I can also link it either in the head or in the body, but I'll keep it in the body. So I'll say script src, then I'll say index.js. So right now I've linked my JavaScript to my HTML. So I can open this with live server, but I don't have any content. So let me say h1 here. I'll say I'm working with JavaScript. Control S, save. Okay. So I'm working with JavaScript. Yeah, this is our linked HTML file with JavaScript. So let's learn two basic functions that we have, or two basic methods that we have in JS. Number one is console.log. So I'll say console.log. Okay, before running this, what is console and what is log? Console is an object in JavaScript, or to be more precise, a built-in object with JavaScript. So it's basically where you can see errors, create errors, put errors, log things so that you can use them later, or basically hide things from the users. It's more of like a developer's book where you log your workings, something like that. Yeah. So that's like your console. While log is a method or function inside console. So to access methods or properties inside an object, you use the dot operator. So think of console as an object, any object. Let's take a pen for example. Every object has two things: an attribute, not an attribute, attributes and methods. Attributes define the features of that particular object. So I can say the features of a pen are: it has an ink, a cover, and a mouth, and a case, basically. Yeah. So those are attributes of the pen. While the methods of the pen are the things the pen can do. For example, write, basically I can only use it to write now. Yeah. So I can say a simple method of a pen is to what? Is to write. So console also has what? Methods and attributes, also known as properties. Okay. So one of the methods console has is log, which is to write something in our console. So if I want to write a particular string, I can see after the log, I kept two brackets here. So these two brackets are called parentheses. Okay, parentheses. Okay, so in between these parentheses, I'll type. You can see I'm using double quotes. You can also use single quotes. So we basically use double quotes or single quotes when I want to type a sequence of characters. So I'll say I'm learning JavaScript. I think I also typed that HTML. in the console. So I'll say in the console. Okay, save. Now let me open my HTML file. So you can see in the HTML I'm working with JavaScript. So open with live server. So I can see I'm working with JavaScript. Okay, so where is this I'm learning JavaScript in the console? It is not here. Why? Because this is called the document. This isn't the console. Okay, this isn't the console. So to check the console, so every browser has an option or a space for consoles. You right click all the way down to inspect. You can right click anywhere, by the way. So when you inspect, you can see this little dashboard showing up. So after inspecting, you can see console probably at the right. So when I click console, I can see some errors here, some messages. Basically, this just, as I said earlier on, the console is a natural space where you see errors when you code in JavaScript, or basically just network errors involved with that particular web page or website. But I can see the first thing there is what I logged in the console. So which is I'm learning JavaScript in the console. Okay, we have other methods like console.error, console.one. Basically, you can just play around with the console. So when you say console, then dot, so it shows you the different methods or attributes that the console has to offer. Yeah, so you can check that out yourself. Another one is the document. So as I mentioned earlier, this is the document, right? So JavaScript also has functionalities for this particular document. So I can basically write HTML from JavaScript. So I go back here and I say document.write double quote again. So I can say let me say h2, something like this, h2. Well, let me show you the difference between writing normally. So normal text. So let me duplicate, alt shift arrow down, then I'll wrap this in an h2. So that's the closing tag, opening tag here, h2, save. So if I check it back, I will see this on my console. So I can see a normal text to be like a paragraph, just normal. So when I use the h2, I can see that it has the size or the features of an h2 tag. Yeah, so you can basically write HTML code from JavaScript using the document.write method. So document is the object, while write is the method inside document. Okay, so note, you can also use anything HTML has to offer, which also includes attributes. So, and when attribute comes to your mind, you think of inline CSS. So I can also use the style attribute here. So if I say style equals to, but there's no auto suggest here. So I use single quotes since I use double quote around it, so it won't look like it ended. So single quote, I'll say color colon red. Okay, semicolon at the end. Save, check it back. I can see CSS with JavaScript, or basically still with HTML. So yeah, this is the first section of this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for part 2.